Hello and welcome to the webinar about AI detectors, do's and don'ts, organized by plagiarismcheck.org. I am Garrett, and together with my team, we build solutions to protect academic integrity, help teachers to save their time, and help students to succeed academically. During this webinar, we will answer the main questions teachers and students are concerned about. Let's start at discussing how academic integrity landscape changed since ChatGPT became publicly available. In 2022, there was a survey that showed that 95% students who participated in this survey admitted that they participated in some form of cheating. It doesn't necessarily mean that they cheated themselves. They could help someone else to cheat. But at the end of the day, this number is high enough to be a concern. It was mostly about plagiarism and contract cheating as the main ways how students cheated in assignments. In 2022, ChatGPT became publicly available. This survey shows that 52% students who participated admitted that they were using ChatGPT to write their essays. If you think that ChatGPT is not the only one AI generator that is suitable to write essays, we also have Google Bard and hundreds of other generators. Together, this number could be much higher than 52%. So ChatGPT and AI generators are a distinct problem for academic integrity and education. Should we allow students using AI? AI is a powerful tool, and I'm sure that many of you who attend this webinar already tried AI generators to optimize routing, get quick answers, and complete some tasks. Students also have tasks that could be completed by AI without violating the instructions you give them for assignments. For example, students can ask AI to explain instructions, to summarize something, or to create an assignment plan or assignment structure. They can even ask AI to generate first 3 to 5 sentences to get over the writer's block. However, there should be a clear understanding that using AI to complete an assignment will be considered as cheating, the same as plagiarism, unless your assignment instructions allow using AI to complete an assignment. For example, I know that some teachers allow students to complete an assignment in ChatGPT, and then students need to write a quick essay about their experience in using ChatGPT and the downsides they see in using ChatGPT to complete assignments. The main problem with using AI to complete assignments is that students do not contribute and do not commit to completing these assignments. They just outsource the critical thinking part to an AI generator and just submit the results that they receive from ChatGPT as their own work. Before we dive deeper into how AI detectors work, let's discuss how LLMs work. LLMs are large language models that are capable of understanding how to provide you with a response based on the prompt you give through ChatGPT or through any other chat. I found a really simple and easy to understand example of how LLMs work on a YouTube channel called Graphics in 5 Minutes. I will add a link to this video on YouTube where this webinar recording will be published. In this example, we take 2 sentences from Bob Dylan's song. These sentences are remarkable because they have the same words appearing several times in those 2 sentences. We have the word was that appears 3 times, and every time after this word, we have another unique word. Unique word meaning that we do not have a combination of was with the same words. It happens only once. So we have 3 words, shining, laying, and still. The same with if. We have a unique word coming after if every time in these 2 sentences. If we train our large language model based on these 2 sentences, it will understand that after word was, only 3 words can be a possible option: laying, shining, and still, and they have equal probability of 33%. When you ask an AI generator that is built on top of such a large language model to generate the next word after was, it will choose one of these words. They have equal probability, so it is quite difficult to predict which of these words it will choose. But at the end of the day, it will be one of these 3 words because it doesn't know about other options. Let's rewrite this sentence to see what happens from a large language model perspective if some words appear more often than other words. In this sentence, we have the same word was appearing 3 times, but in 2 cases, the word shining is the next word after was. From a large language model perspective, shining has 66% probability to be the next word after was, and still has only 33% probability. Every time you ask an AI generator based on such a large language model to generate the next word after was, in many cases it will be shining because it has higher probability. Every time an AI generator generates a response based on your prompt, it calculates every following word based on its probability according to previous combination of words. Usually AI generators use the most probable words, so words that have the highest probability to be a following word based on the previous context or on the previous word, for example. Every time this AI generator will have to generate the next word after was, it will be shining. Can AI be detected after we know how AI generators work? Yes and no. AI generators, when they generate a response, they use statistical probability for every word they generate in this sequence that becomes a response to your prompt. When AI detectors are trained, they use plenty of AI generated text and plenty of human written text. And their job at this point is to understand what is typical for AI generated text and what is typical for human written text. We usually take the same approach of statistical probability. So in a nutshell, AI detector tries to understand what statistical probability is used for AI text and what statistical probability is used for human written text. When an AI detector is trained and you ask it to check a text for you, it will compare statistical probability for every word in the text that you submit to it to statistical probability that is typical for AI generated text. And if there is a match, it will flag it as potentially AI generated. Are AI detectors reliable? If we expect that AI detectors will tell us if the text was AI generated, then no, they are not reliable because they simply do not know for sure if the text was AI generated. There is only one way to know if the text was AI generated: if you had a chance to observe the case of generating this text and pasting it in an assignment. Only in this case, we can know for sure that the text was AI generated and used in an assignment. When you ask an AI detector to check a text, it will analyze this text for words and combination of words using statistical probability and compare this data to statistical probability of how AI texts are generated. If there is a similarity between how AI texts are generated and how the text that you asked the AI detector to be checked, then the AI detector will flag that this text that you asked it to check is potentially AI generated. But eventually, it doesn't mean that the text is AI generated, because AI detector only shows that this text matches what it knows about how AI generated text look like. However, it could be written by a student. People can write with a similar statistical probability that can be considered as AI generated by AI detectors. We will discuss one example on one of the following slides. AI generators, on the other hand, also can get closer to human writing using different settings like temperature. For example, if you change temperature setting from default setting to another, AI generator will not take the most probable word, the most statistically probable word like shining. It will take the word still, which makes its response more creative, closer to human language. And from AI detector perspective, it becomes harder to understand that this text is AI generated because it sounds very close to human. And if AI detector has a certain threshold of identifying human and AI generated text, it can identify human written text as AI generated, causing false positives. Here is an example. We have a scale from 0 to 100, where 0 is 100% AI generated text because humans simply cannot write text with such high predictability. And 100 is 100% human written text because AI is not capable to generate text with such a creativity. For example, we take a threshold 20 and we consider everything that is below 20 as AI generated and everything that is 20 and more as human written. 20 in this case represents a certain set of metrics that AI detectors analyze when they check the text and compare it to how AI usually generates text. An AI detector that has such a threshold will flag as AI generated only texts with very high predictability, meaning that it will catch everything that is below 20 and will flag it as AI generated. If an AI generator becomes more creative and its metrics are about 20, for this AI detector, it will be human written text. On the right side, an AI detector like this will have low false positive results. Low false positives like this is achieved with a threshold of 20 because only a small percentage of people can write with such a predictability that is below this 20 threshold. The majority of people will write in this area, so their writing will be considered as human written, and we will have low false positives when their writing is considered as AI generated. On another hand, this AI detector has low true positive when the text is correctly identified as AI generated. This is caused by having this threshold on such a low level. So this AI detector will miss the AI generated text that has higher metrics than 20. It will consider it as human written. Let's take a look at another example. We have the same scale here, but the threshold is 50. Everything that is below 50 will be considered as AI generated. Everything that is 50 and more will be considered as human written. Such an AI detector will have higher false positive results than a previous model because more humans can write below the threshold of 50, and their text will be considered as AI generated. On the bright side, this AI detector will have higher true positive when it correctly identifies AI generated text. Higher true positive in this case is achieved by considering that not only highly predictable texts are AI generated, but also texts that have lower predictability also are AI generated. Unfortunately, it also causes false positives when human written text can be considered as AI generated, as humans can write below this threshold and AI can generate up to 50 in this threshold. So this area is really blurry and it is quite difficult to identify if we are evaluating a human written text or AI generated text. This is about constant improving of how the model works, constant balancing between catching as much AI as possible and correctly identifying human written. Our AI detector is biased against non-native speakers. As I mentioned earlier, AI detectors are trained on a variety of human written text and AI generated text. So they cannot identify some certain group of people. The reason why AI detectors may flag non-native speakers' text as AI generated more often can be caused by having a statistical probability of how these texts are written very close to statistical probability of how AI texts are generated. It can be caused by using limited vocabulary and repeated constructions of words that produces highly predictable text. But this topic needs to be researched further. Can AI-generated text be plagiarism? Yes, our team was really surprised to discover that the same text can be considered as AI-generated and plagiarism at the same time. When our team was analyzing the results from ChatGPT, Google Bard, and other AI generators, we found out that some parts of this text are flagged as paraphrasing or exact matches. When we compared the parts that marked as paraphrasing to original sources, we understood that they shouldn't be considered as plagiarism, as they may have the same idea, but the wording is completely different. It looks like taking an idea and writing about it using completely your own words. However, some parts marked as copy-pasted are totally identical to existing sources. This shows that when students use AI generators to complete assignments, they may get in trouble because not only AI detectors can flag their text as AI generated, but also plagiarism checkers may find similarities between this text and existing sources. To summarize what we discussed, that students use AI generators in their assignments and the AI detectors are not 100% accurate. So what should we do in this case? We recommend using an AI detector as a helpful tool, but not as a final judge. It doesn't know 100% if the text was AI generated. What it does is comparing how AI generated text look like to the text that you ask it to check. It is very similar to how plagiarism checking tools look like. When you have a percentage of similarity, it doesn't necessarily mean that this percentage is a percentage of plagiarism. First, you need to check the sources. Some pieces of text can be flagged because they are considered as a paraphrasing, but at the end of the day, you decide that they are not plagiarism. So you just untick this source and the percentage will become lower. Or for example, it can be a match with a previous assignment submitted by the same student. And if you allow students to reuse their own works, this shouldn't be considered as plagiarism as well. So you can remove this source from a similarity score. Or it can be a match with other students if they take the same instructions and add them to their assignment. So they will have the same text from the beginning that is similar between students, but you know that those are instructions, they are the same. So you do not consider these as plagiarism as well. Plagiarism detectors and the AI detectors results should be analyzed before making any decisions. And now let's discuss how to analyze AI detectors results. The first case is when you have random sentences marked as potentially AI generated. The chances that the student use an AI generator are quite low because from a student perspective, it doesn't make too much sense to generate just random sentences. If an AI detector shows random sentences, probably there is nothing to worry about. Another case, when you have certain paragraphs flagged as potentially AI generated. It makes sense from a student perspective to use an AI generator to generate some paragraphs. For example, a student can ask ChatGPT to generate a conclusion based on an assignment, and then just copy and paste this conclusion in an assignment and submit it to you. When you see paragraphs highlighted as potentially AI generated, we recommend taking into account the percentage of such text in an assignment and if a student previously attempted to cheat. If you are still concerned about paragraphs highlighted as potentially AI generated, you can interview a student based on these paragraphs, and if a student fails to answer your questions, then you have higher chances that the student did not write this paragraph. The most severe case is when you have big parts or the whole text highlighted as potentially AI generated. Here you have the highest chances that a student used an AI generator, so we recommend to double check by asking a few questions based on an assignment. Pro tip, you can generate these questions using ChatGPT to save your time. When a student cannot answer these questions, you have higher chances that the student did not write this assignment. Finally, AI detectors do's. The first do is to allow students to prove their work on an assignment. Ask a student to present drafts, notes, or other materials that prove the student contributed to this assignment. Also, you always can ask a few questions based on an assignment, and if a student fails to answer them, you have another reason to be concerned. We recommend treating AI detectors as advisors, but not as final judges. Make decisions based on how much text is highlighted as potentially AI generated and take into consideration if a student attempted to cheat earlier. Another tool that can help you to understand if a student really worked on an assignment is our add-on for Google Docs and a tool activity reports in it. This tool analyzes how an assignment was created, how much time a student spent on writing this assignment. It tracks every revision and every case when some significant part of text was inserted out of nowhere. And it allows you to conveniently compare every revision with the final version of a document. For example, if you see that some significant part of text was inserted in one revision, you can see how this text looks like in a final version of a document, because sometimes students can just paste some text and then completely rewrite it. In other cases, students can paste this text and leave it in a final version. So it is questionable where this text is coming from. AI detectors don'ts. One of the most important don'ts is using AI detectors without checking their terms and conditions. AI detectors may save and reuse the content that you ask them to check. Some of them write about it in their terms and conditions, where it is openly stated that your text will be considered as contributions and can be reused and shown to other users. It violates students' intellectual property. That's why we recommend to check terms and conditions of AI detectors you are going to use. Another don't, do not upload students' assignments to ChatGPT or other AI generators, asking them to tell if this assignment was AI generated. These tools are not trained to provide an answer like that. They do not know how to analyze if a text is AI generated. So even if they sometimes provide you with a correct answer, it doesn't mean that they are reliable. Another issue is that AI generators may reuse the text that you upload to them and show this text partially or totally to another user who uses a similar prompt, which violates students' intellectual property. A few words about how we address modern academic integrity challenges. Our tool, Academic Integrity Kit, is a comprehensive way how you can check text originality. It combines a similarity checker, AI detector, authorship verification, and grammar spelling checker. Together, these tools provide a comprehensive and convenient report that can help you to make a decision about assignment's originality. For your convenience, we released an AI detector as a Chrome extension that can be conveniently installed in your Chrome browser. It allows you checking the text right from the web page. For example, if you need to check discussions on your LMS or some other text from another web page, just select the text that you would like to check for AI, launch our extension, click proceed, and in no time, it will provide you with a result. You can scan this QR code to get a link to a web store and then share this link with your laptop to install it in your Chrome browser. This tool is completely free and very easy to use. Thank you for attending this webinar or watching it on YouTube. If you have any questions, you can contact us at support@plagiarismcheck.org. If you would like to have a demo of Academic Integrity Kit for your institution, please scan this QR code or use the link below this video on YouTube. It will redirect you to a quick form. Once you fill this form, someone from our helpful sales team will be in touch to schedule a private demo and answer all your questions.